What if I told you that one of the most powerful ways to boost endurance, strengthen your mitochondria, even sharpen your brain, something that you're already doing thousands of times a day? But you're probably doing it wrong. You're doing it to stay alive, not to maximize your health. What I'm talking about is your breath. More specifically, holding your breath. Now, I know that sounds strange, breath holding. Is that really just something we did as kids in the swimming pool, or maybe as silly party tricks where we'd compete and see who could hold their breath the longest? Here's the secret. Free divers, Olympic runners, even Tour de France cyclists have started using breath hold training to push their VO2 maxes higher and to completely rewire the way their mitochondria work. You don't need to live at high altitude like I do. You don't need an oxygen tent. You really don't even need any fancy equipment. That's what's so cool about this training. You can start right now, even while you're listening to this video, wherever you are. So today I want to break down the science of breath hold training, why it works, what it does to your mitochondria, and how you can use it to level up performance and health. So let's start with VO2 max. You guys have all heard that term thrown out. And you've heard how VO2 max is a key to longevity. It's basically your body's ceiling for oxygen use. So think of it as the horsepower of your aerobic engine. Your lungs breathe in oxygen, hemoglobin carries it, and then your heart pumps it, and then your mitochondria turn it into energy. So that oxygen is the start of everything. Most training programs try to raise VO2 max with things like interval training. We've all heard about that, right? High intensity interval training, tempo work, high altitude exposure. But breath holding training hits his system from another angle. It creates hypoxia, just like some of those things do, low oxygen, and hypercapnia, a high CO2. That combination forces every step of the oxygen chain to adapt. So what happens when you hold your breath? Well, the first thing is your oxygen levels begin to drop. And then your blood saturation of oxygen falls. Next, your CO2 starts to build up and your blood becomes acidic. When that happens, the sensors in your brain stem start firing and they're screaming at you to breathe. Over time, your tolerance improves. The next thing that happens is you trigger what's called hormesis. That's the stress adaptation response. When you have this hypoxic situation, it switches a master regulator called HIF1 alpha, HIF1 alpha. That gene tells your body, build more red blood cells, build more mitochondria, protect me against oxidative stress. So that's why free divers can hold their breath for 5, 6, even 7 minutes. And why it's more and more seen endurance athletes adding apnea training into their interval training. But here's the question people always ask. What if I just lie down and hold my breath? Do I get the same benefits? Do I get some benefits? Well, the answer is yes, partly. At rest, breath holding does improve tolerance of CO2. Basically helps to rebalance your nervous system, shifting you towards a parasympathetic calm. It even gives your mitochondria a little hormetic nudge. This makes it really useful for recovery, meditation, or for people who can't tolerate intense training. Like my long COVIDers, I can start them with just this. During exercise, that breath holding effect is magnified much more. So now, if I'm exercising and holding my breath, my muscles start really screaming for oxygen. The demand is really high, and the supply is restricted. So that mismatch is what drives the strongest adaptations. It tells your body, I need more mitochondria. I need help. I need more red blood cells. All that equates to a higher VO2 max. Think of it like this. Holding your breath while lying down is a little bit like training wheels. When you do it under movement and load, that's where the real gains start to happen. So now let's zoom in on mitochondria, those little power plants in your cells. And why do we care so much? Well, because they determine how much energy you have, how resilient you are to aging, and even how well your brain's going to function. Really, at its foremost, neurodegenerative and cognitive decline is due to a lack of mitochondria function in the brain. So breath holding training hits the mitochondria from multiple angles. It's not only going to stimulate more mitochondria, what we call mitochondrial biogenesis, so you literally grow new mitochondria, but it also enhances what we call mitophagy. A lot of you guys have heard about mitophagy, but This is where your body clears out the bad mitochondria and leaves behind a stronger pool of the big, tough mitochondria. And training's efficiency. The mitochondria actually get better at making ATP when oxygen is scarce. It also is going to upregulate antioxidants. So mild bursts of reactive oxygen species, so you get a little bit of that. It tells your defenses to step up, which is going to protect you for the long term. It's also going to improve what we call fuel flexibility. At first, you're going to rely more on glycolysis, glucose utilization. But with adaptation, you'll get better at switching between glucose and fat. That's really important for long-term endurance. For athletes, it's going to give them better endurance, faster recovery. But how about for people just struggling with chronic fatigue, long COVID, neurodegenerative disease? It's really a gentle way to retrain energy metabolism without crushing the system. So let's talk practically. How do you actually do this training? So step one is really what we call carbon dioxide tolerance drills. Just sit or lie down. There's some good videos that you can do. Wim Hof has them. And you just take a gentle exhale and you hold. And you time yourself in the relatively very first urge to breathe. Not until you're gasping, then recover. And repeat that 3 to 5 times, 5 to 10 minutes daily. And that just builds your awareness and control. The next thing is you're going to do breath holds. Hold for a minute and a half, 2 minutes. And then start doing breath holds while walking. Exhale, count your steps. When the urge gets strong to breathe in, keep walking. You rest 1 or 2 minutes and repeat that 5 to 8 times. So this mimics hypoxic interval training in a really safe, controlled way. Step 3, integrate it into more vigorous exercise. Start doing some interval training like on the treadmill and add a breath hold on the exhale. For example, sprint 20 seconds while holding your breath. And then recover with normal breathing and do that for 6 to 10 rounds. That's where you're going to really get VO2 max gains to really show up. For more advanced athletes, you can do what's called apneic sprints. 15 to 30 seconds all out on a bike or a run breath hold. And then recover for about 2 minutes. Repeat that for 4 to 6 reps. I can tell you it's brutal. But the adaptations are really powerful and it's a really quick way to actually make a change in your VO2 max. So here's the takeaway. Breath hold training is a free, accessible way to improve oxygen efficiency, raise VO2 max, and remodel the mitochondria. At rest, it will start to act as a hormetic for the nervous system, and it will actually start to even improve VO2 max there. During exercise, it's going to be a performance amplifier. So start small, progress gradually, respect the stress, and you'll start to see immediate gains. I do this after my workouts. I just lay on the ground for 5 minutes, and I put myself through my breath hold training. I do some regular breaths, and then I do breath holds 1 minute, and then 1.5 minutes. I can't get to 2 or 2.5 yet, but I'm working on it. I love this because it's such a simple tool to use for you guys to really start seeing improvements in your health. So if you like this, please give it a thumbs up. Please share it. Please follow us on our YouTube channel. And in the comments, let me know if you've tried this, if it's working for you, and what else you want to talk about. Thank you, guys.